Do you ever wonder why you're doing what you do in life? Do you wish that you could be really happy and passionate about what you do? Or maybe you already are and you want to expand in a different direction. Hi, I'm Barbara Ann, host of What the Why? I love what I do. A lot of that has to do with my story, my journey to this point in life. And guess what? Everybody has a story. So please join me for conversations with leaders from all walks of life about what they do, and more importantly, why they do it, how they found their core purpose, their passion, their mission in life. And if you're looking for your own, maybe you'll get some great suggestions on how you too can find your why. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of What the Why. If you haven't seen us before, our show features conversations with diverse leaders from all walks of life about why they do what they do and how they figured out it's their purpose. Maybe you're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, or you feel stuck and you want to get unstuck. All of our leaders have something in common with you. At some point, they felt similarly and they decided to do something about it, and today is no exception. I'm really excited to finally bring to you Clay Hicks, founder of the H7 Network. Imagine a world where your business relationships transcend city, states, and even countries, where support and community are not just words, but actions. Clay envisions such a world where entrepreneurs never have to do business alone, brought to life through the H7 network and its connect, serve, and ask methodology, now trademarked. It is more than a platform. It's a movement. And I can speak to that because that's how I met Clay. I'm a member. Purpose Build is a member.
Yes, ma'am.
It is a global phenomenon where business ties are forged in the most profound ways, fostering not just growth, but strong connections. And I can also speak to that because some of my business partners are people that I have met through the H7 network. So I'm super glad to have the founder of H7, Connect, Serve, and Ask Your Way to Success, joining me all the way from really the other side of the country, but we'll get into that. So without further ado, please join me in a round of applause in welcoming Clay Hicks to What the Why. So yay! Welcome, 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 welcome.
Thank you, Barbara Ann. Thank you for having me.
So, as our audience, and as you know, we always start off asking every person after reading their intro, what exactly is it that you wanted to do when you were little Clay and you were growing up?
Yeah. So when I was a kid, I did have dreams and aspirations, and so it was either being an entrepreneur or an attorney when I was younger.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, so my dreams of going to college was to become an attorney was kind of squashed in high school, but nonetheless, that's what I wanted to do in high school and junior high. Even job shadowed an accountant. Or not an accountant, excuse me, an attorney and attorneys. And then I also owned my own business when I was, 9. I had a paper route. 12, I had my own lawn care business. So it was kind of like destiny, kind of fate for me to do something. And apparently it was to be an entrepreneur. So, uh,
Wow.
so yeah, so far back when I was 9. I mean, it was
So one of the few guests that's actually doing something in alignment with what they thought they always would do.
yeah.
Nah. So how did you get from attorney and or entrepreneur to where you are now and specifically H7?
Yeah. So just kind of start with like when I found out I should not be an attorney. My guidance counselor told me in my senior year that it'd be a very difficult profession. And
Mm.
so I switched to sciences when I went to college. Ended up going to UC and I went to Miami University. And when I was 20, my oldest biological daughter was being born. So I quit college and I went to work at steel mill. And I worked at a place called AK Steel, which is now called Cleveland Cliffs, still exists today. And it was about 15 minutes from my house. I live in Dayton, Ohio, so it's like 15 minutes from where I live. And so I did that. And then when I was there at the mill, I started my first business when I was 23, like real business, you know. My lawn care business when I was 12, I guess it wasn't really the same, but nonetheless, it was a lawn care business when I was 23. And which is kind of funny, but anyway, so that's what I started, and I was able to get out of the mill when I was 25. Haven't had a job like that now for 22 years. 47. But anyway, got into real estate, and I moved too fast as an entrepreneur.
Mm.
And so my life got kind of turned upside down at 26 years old.
Wow.
So I had my lawn care business. I quit the mill, got into real estate all at the same time, made a lot of really bad decisions, poor decisions anyway. Um, I was kind of a lone wolf at the time. And so I had eight houses. I had my lawn care business. I was doing real estate flipping and all this stuff. And then, I lost it all. And so 26 years old, my ex now, of course, she didn't want to put up with that anymore, which was fine. But then it ended up with full custody of my biological daughters. And so then I kind of went through this transformation. And as I'm going through this transformation, I'm learning. In fact, the book was Rick Warren, Purpose Driven Life. It really kind of set my life ablaze of transformation and changing who I was and finding the Lord and all this stuff that I needed to do to transform my life. And I was told before I started age 7, the reason I started age 7 had to do with not doing business alone.
Mm.
So I had went from doing business alone and ruining myself, sabotaging myself along the way, um, to now I refuse to do it alone. And so I kind of went through that transformation. And then, before I started age 7 in '08, I had, so 17 years ago, I had, I wanted to do something, but I wasn't going to do it alone. And I saw these the networking groups. I had decent experience with that, and there's this large networking group across the world that I went to. It wasn't for me. It's all good. And then I found 5 people to help me start age 7. And so that's kind of how it came to be and how it started. Uh,
Wow.
what it is today now. So
Wow. So from like 5,000, you have thousands
yeah,
of connections.
thousands.
Um, and I believe you've met like over 9,000 of them personally, which is not something everyone can say,
That's correct. Yeah, yeah.
which is huge. Um, and you also have a very aggressive agenda along with that. Um, so before we get into that, um, how did you come up with the idea of connect, serve, ask?
So that was on my journey beginning in 2014 when I started doing one-to-ones. I mean, I did one-to-ones before that, but this time I'm recording them. I'm like being very intentional about doing one-to-ones with anybody that would meet with me. And that was based on the idea that if we're going to grow, then I'm going to go first. I need to make changes in my life first. I need to do the things as the owner of the business first. And so we came up with this, what really turned out to be a really cool idea at the time was like, okay, we'll just meet with people. Well, so I started that journey in August of 14. And then in August of 2018, Connect, Serve, and Ask was born. I had met 3,000 people for 3,000 hours, not including drive time, of course. And so it started off with find a commonality, which converted over to connect later. Add value turned into serve later. And then I got hit with, I wasn't asking for referrals until like 2,500 in. And so then it hits me like I should ask. And that changed everything. Then connect, serve, and ask over that next 5 or 6 months came to be known as connect, serve, and ask instead of find commonality and add value. And it all transitioned. And so we invented it then. So August of 18, it's just become a method for building relationships, is what it is.
Mhm.
So
And and so now groups of us from all over the country and increasingly other areas as well,
Yeah.
get together uh, on Fridays, on Wednesdays, on whatever works, both regionally and nationally,
Yeah.
to build relationships with each other.
Hmm.
And and it's been interesting. My company's schedule's been a little bit challenging, but even just watching it grow in the last 2 years, other groups that I'm in have said, "Oh, you have to come and join this group." It's H7 Network, um, and I can't help but wonder if part of that is because of your new mission. So let's talk about your mission, um, which, if you would like to share with people, you have a specific target.
I do 1 million people. 1 million people to introduce them to Connect, Serve, and Ask. And I think that it should be done too, where we actually treat people with respect. We treat them like they're humans, that we treat them well. And
Yeah.
so Connect, Serve, and Ask the method, going out and speaking to crowds of people and things like that, and selling getting the books into their hands. It's not one of those like money making missions. It's one of those missions where, that's cool. Like, as long as it impacted you. So the million, of course, Connect, Serve, and Ask has already been on its way making impacts. But last December, that was what was put down, given to me and spoke to me. And so now I'm trying to impact the world, Connect, Serve, and Ask. Yeah.
Hmm. And, let's talk about some of the unique ways that you've done that. I've gotten to meet you in person
Yeah.
in Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
and you've traveled all over the place.
Yeah.
Um, what are some of the types of businesses that have joined the organization?
Yeah. So we have the full gamut because of H7 is split between in person, which is how we began, and then virtual, which is how we also do business now. And so in the in person, we're in person in Ohio, Indiana, and so that's your mixture of like mixed professionals, realtors, financial advisors, business coaches, things like that. The virtual world is uniquely different. And so the foundation of the B2B virtual world are fractional executives. And so if you can like picture an org chart, you got the fractional executives going across so then you have your marketing, your sales, your finance, all that stuff. Well, that's who's in our community. So it starts with the fractional executives, and then we have our consultants, then we have our coaches, and then we have other subcategories such as HR or payroll or credit card or whatever, but it's pure B2B. And so we have a lot of SaaS companies. We have, obviously like internet like tools. So SaaS, you know, on top of having the executives and the connections that like the relationships that H7 has overall with its relationship with Tab, the alternative board, and Lemonade and fractional Launchpad and a number of other partnerships that we've also created, all surrounding these fractional executives, which then supports the rest of the categories as well.
Yeah, and shout out to, I've had the honor, as I said, I've actually, my company has partnered with some of them.
Yeah.
Shout out to Seven Star HR. We're a channel partner channel, to do HR relationships and programs and services and things like that. And some others as well. Sorry, I don't want to name them all, but y'all know who you are if you're watching. And, and those are relationships I can honestly say I wouldn't have if it hadn't been for H7 Network. Um, and so let's talk about, because look, you have a huge mission, but there are some that would say, okay, how can 5 people start a movement? And yet you did. Um, but it wasn't easy, obviously.
No, no.
What would you say were some of the biggest challenges that you faced along the way?
Well, so yeah, like I don't have the educational background. I really have, I didn't, I don't have the educational background. I didn't work for a networking company before I started this one. I mean, that's challenged a lot of challenge alone, and so, along the way, I really began to focus on the relationship aspect. And so now, like, it's pretty amazing how far we've come. But from the beginning, as to how I valued relationships and how I value them now, it's all just kind of grown. And it has a lot to do with those challenges that you're faced with. And so I'm not embarrassed to say this. Like, surrounding myself with people that are smarter than me, I've made that my focus in certain areas. And so, sure, I have 26 on my staff, but then I have other coaches and mentors that I work with to help me to be better and things like that. Um, so many challenges with, like, we were in person and we were beginning to scale. And in 2020, like, the world stopped. And so we were blowing up across different areas. We were larger than BNI in many areas that we were like working in the same space and all this stuff. And so that was one. I mean, money. I started age 7 with $200. So like I didn't have like a bunch of money when I started, so I didn't have any seed money. Those 5 people that like picked up the lantern and walked with me to build this thing to beginning. Like that was pretty amazing. Many challenges around uh, how do you go from like Cincinnati to, well, think about it. Like in the very beginning, I just set out to help people and to never do business alone. Well, that meant I was probably going to have to find relationships in other parts of the world or other parts of the country, other parts of the city, whatever it is, we're going to have to find those relationships. So the challenges have been many. Of course, we've had a ton of success because of those that I've surrounded myself with to help me to get there. So,
Mhm. Yeah, and which is the perfect pivot into let's talk about some of that. I mean, because like I said, I've been in other groups now where people will say, "Oh, well, you got to join H7." I'm like, I did 2 years ago. And so so let's talk about some of those successes because, almost 10,000 people is that you've personally met. Not a lot of people can say that about their social media connections.
no, no, no. Like that alone is pretty cool. Like I'm even like astonished by it. 10,800 connections, and I know almost 10,000. Like I've met them. That's really amazing. And it makes me like extremely resourceful to the members, which is, that's just something you don't count on.
Mhm.
Most people use the social media alone just for like the connection piece. But no, I like try to meet them.
Yeah.
And so every week my connections grow, of course, and just keep going.
I think another part of that others are probably hearing in you that I know I do is the humility associated with it.
Yeah.
Like this is clearly this isn't about you, this is about the mission that you're on.
It is. It really is.
And so it really does make a difference. And so you touched on it earlier, but you know, clearly this is something that you're passionate about,
Yeah.
and that comes from somewhere. And so, you know, this isn't easy work, especially when you're traveling.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you know, where does the motivation to keep going really come from?
Yeah. So on my journey, I have found my purpose in life. I am a man of faith. And so he has delivered me my purpose in life. And it's really cool, like how it's went. My original purpose in life was to lift others up and unite them. And then over time, and over more and more experiences and reflections around my experiences and everything that's going on in prayer time, meditation, all these things, and then I get another one, like lift others up, unite them, and take no credit. Oh, that was the first time I learned about that one. you know and then so like that was my second, was take no credit. Like it just he just kind of pieced it together for me, is the best way to say it. So then take no credit, and then enters lift others up, unite them, develop them, take no credit. What? Okay. That was when all my courses started to come out. And then over time, my next one was lift others up, unite them, develop them, and take no credit. Right. So now we got three. Then we got a fourth one that pops in. So lift others up, unite them, develop them, minister to them that need it, that require that of me, and then take no credit. So that's where I'm at now on my journey. So technically, like H7 is just simply a vehicle for my purpose in life, a delivery. I'm in the logistics business. Okay, so H7 is, I love H7. I absolutely adore and love the people in the community. But H7 Network is just simply a vehicle for my purpose in life. So that's what drives me, is what I'm told to do in obedience and to go out and do what I'm supposed to do until I'm no longer supposed to do it.
Which involves connect, serve, and ask.
That's right. That's right.
So as someone who, you know, is doing this more as a mission, and I think that's interesting. I think one of the reasons why it works and is innovative is because you had no preconceived ideas uh,
Yeah.
about what should or shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Um, and so, what would you say are some of your biggest learning opportunities along the way?
Oh my gosh. I learned something this morning, Barbara. Yeah. So, I learned something so much so often. So okay, I mean, last year was pretty pivotal. Okay, so I'll talk about
Mhm.
these. So I learned how strategic I really am. I learned that through failures, of course. And so I needed to provide my team and staff had challenged me to come up with a 5-year BHAG. What? 5 years? And then it's kind of senseless, it's so far out and things can change. And I'll be daggone if I can. I can do that. I learned how strategic my brain works, how far out I can push my visions as a visionary and challenge that. Understanding that I understand. Oh, this is a really good one. So, how do I run a team in operations and operate a staff when I have no COO experience? I have no education. I have no idea. Like that's not even my talents, more or less. But it is when it becomes a strategic version of a COO. So I had to. I'm an autodidact, so I constantly am teaching things, learning things constantly how I understand information, and so I had this idea to run the business on OKRs, objectives and key results. Now that seems impossible for somebody who's not a micromanager, but I figured out how to make it work for me in a macro management way that set us up for success through a software that I use to actually run the business with my staff meetings and all the stuff. And so that was really big. Of course, the pivoting during the pandemic. Boy, you
Mm.
want to find out what you're made of? Like I found out what I was made of. And so that one right there, like I had no experience running virtual calls except for like 3 times before the meetings moved to virtual. I, we had to shut down all operations in person. And I had to lift this entire community up online into a place where we could at least congregate. I learned what my metal really was that back then, how much of an entrepreneur I really am. What am I made of? It's one thing when you start the business that way, you learn about, because when I started the business, it was 2008 and it was during the recession. And we
Mhm.
successfully made it through there. So we made it through that. And then we made it through, 20. And then since then, my life has moved very fast, very fast. So lots more challenges. I mean, think about how many people in our community. I have one just this spring. You create a user experience for who you have in the community, and you hope that through that user experience, it works for so long until eventually you'll have to change it strategically, right? To adapt. And so adapt to who's coming in. Well, what happened was is we started getting different types of professionals coming in the community. Ones had different backgrounds, like the knowledge base that they had. And we had members coming up to me in May and April telling me that the user experience didn't work and they wanted to help me to fix it. And sure, they were kind of minor techniques for things that need to be done, but they were like big. It took me 90 days to fix it. And so for me, I mean us, and I mean like members jumped in to help us to adapt to a new user experience. And so I'm such a richly blessed man that you give me a challenge, and I will tell you that's an opportunity. And it's a great opportunity to learn. It's a great opportunity to grow. It's a great opportunity to do what you've never done before.
And it's interesting because my next question was going to be, what advice do you have for people? And you kind of just gave it. You know, um, one was this, which takes us back to the humility, your willingness to listen and accept the help and advice of others, which is
Almost to a point,
huge.
almost to a point of embracing and hoping that it happens.
Yeah, which is huge. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
talk about like literally forming a community. The community stepped up and said, "This is how we can help
Oh,
make it
it's beautiful.
better."
Oh
And
man.
and you're talking about other professionals that are also busy and building businesses and running companies and things like that. So that's huge. And
Yeah.
so kudos to you for one being open, not only open, but welcoming and asking for the feedback, but then accepting the help because there are others that wouldn't.
Yeah.
And so, with the changes that you've made, based on everything I've gotten to see,
Yeah.
uh, it looks like it's positioning H7, really for a much broader reach in the coming years, um, which would definitely help you meet your million impact. Um,
Yeah.
because let's be clear, we didn't say a million members, not that I wouldn't put that out there as a potential, but it was
Yeah.
to impact a million entrepreneurs.
That's right. That's right.
And so let's talk about what some of those plans are going forward.
Sure. Sure. So I have my new I have so not only are we like expanding, but we're also going deeper. Okay. So one of the
Mm.
key things that we're doing in 2026 is opening up in-person B2Bs where you find a virtual, a sister partner that meets in person. And so, like right now, we have one in Cincinnati and we have one forming in Toronto. In Toronto. So that's just had its second meeting. We already have members that are getting involved. So that is already, or visitors that are getting involved on the ground floor. So it's already working. And so what that's going to do is take us while we're still expanding, it will also help us to go deeper into those communities at the same time.
Wow.
Um, then we have our H7X program that I'm bringing back out. And I'd shut that down until it was time. Now it's time. So I shut it down when the pandemic hit. And I didn't just bring that back out. We had to do other things, setting up a platform online. So now it's time. And so I already got two groups formed and a third one forming now. And so that's going to take us deeper and deeper and deeper. That's going to support us in doing that. We also plan our conferences are getting better and better. So next year we have our Connect, Serve, and Ask 2026 Summit. And so that's going to be a big deal because it's all Connect, Serve, and Ask, and it's lined with a story. There's a story about not doing business alone that filters into the entire into the entire conference. And then I'm guessing, our plan is to double the size of our staff next year. And as we're continuing to expand by the time we get to next year, of course. And then new stuff, we have new technology that we're building and working on right now that will come out next year, such as members being connected. That's one, connected automatically based on the data collected to help them seamlessly make better introductions. We have another piece of software that we're bringing on that will help us to manage our meetings better. So when you come to a virtual meeting, you'll have a different style of experience where you can actually see who's in the meeting, even though, so basically, if you had two, you have your screen up, your software up while you're in Zoom, and you can see all the people that are in the meeting and you can connect with them right then and there, talk with them, schedule one-to-ones, all that stuff during the meeting.
Wow.
so, so there's a lot of, so there's more to that. Of course, I could spend more time, but then you may not come to Vision of 2026 as a member. So, so that's some bits of what's coming, what's to come.
No,
So
that's a lot of really exciting things. Because like I said, you know, I never imagined that some of the more important partners that I'm working with, both within my company and some other efforts that I'm part of, would come from a virtual networking group.
I know, right?
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
and because there's so many groups out there, and
yeah,
I've looked around and I'm like, that's not right for me. That's not right for me. That's not right for me. And so this works, even though I have a standing issue right now that I'm hoping to get changed. Um, and so, going forward, as our time starts to wrap up, um, you know, you've kind of touched on it, but it sounds like 2026 is really going to lead to some significant changes. I know I'm in the Philly market area. I know we have an on the ground group as well. Sorry, guys, I was sick for the last couple of events, but what I'm hearing is, the international H7
mhm,
is really going to be expanding some of those things. And so,
yeah.
what are some of the best ways for people to reach out and connect with you?
Okay, so the best way is to connect with me on LinkedIn. Send me a note. They heard me on this show or this podcast, and let's schedule a one-to-one. I'll show you what a connect, serve, and ask one-to-one is like, so you can experience that. Maybe you can support yourself and not being pitch slapped so much if you're one that gets pitch slapped. You might then experience and pick up on some things that I'm doing that you can take with you on your own journey of developing relationships. But I would just simply connect with me on LinkedIn and just add a note. And it's okay if you don't, but nonetheless, it might be best. And we can schedule that one-to-one, and I can show you how to do one, and we can just build a relationship. So that's the best way to handle it, is via LinkedIn or Facebook. I'm on Facebook as well. And so Clay Hicks. And of course, H7's on all of it too. And then you can go to h7network.com and you can send an email through there too. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And there may be some people out there that, really want to do not necessarily what you're doing, but something similar, whether it's for mompreneurs or people who are dealing with crime, whatever the thing,
Yeah.
is that they're passionate about trying to create a community around it. Um, what is some parting advice you have for people who are considering trying to build their own network?
Yeah. So number one, the whole purpose behind going to network is to develop relationships. The top three reasons people do not have success in networking, building relationships is one of them. And so the average person just simply is kind of guessing about building relationships, but go for it. Fight it anyway. But remember, as you're building these relationships, that these are people. They are not objects for you to just sell to. They are human beings. And so, number one, you need to make sure you focus on building those relationships and not being afraid to do that. Number two is it is hard. It is hard. So, I'm going to give you the top three reasons why people do not have success inside of H7 or inside of networking, period. Number one is they do not show up prepared. So show up prepared with who you want for connections. Number two, they don't communicate. They're inefficient communication, meaning that when people ask you what you're looking or to tell you about you, tell them about you. Like Communicate well. Practice that stuff. Get your 30 seconds down. Get your 5 minutes down. There, by the way, there's nobody going to sit and listen to you for 60 seconds on an elevator.
Yeah.
So come up with a sentence that demonstrates who you are. So that's really what that means to communicate well. And then the last one is the building of the relationships. Leverage, connect, serve, and ask. If you go to my blog, you can learn all about how to do it. You don't even have to meet with me. Just go to Networking 101. When you get to h7network.com, it'll take you right in there and you will find all you need to how to do a one-to-one. Now, sure, you're going to have to read stuff and do all that stuff, but nonetheless, it is in there. So if you do not know how to build relationships or you are unsure about them, Connect, Serve, and Ask will help you through that. So at least find the blog and at least read some stuff. But if you want to meet, of course, we can. And then last, because it's hard, don't quit and don't blame everybody else. Don't blame everybody else. Because in networking, that is extremely popular. Blame yourself. Look in the mirror first. Are you doing any of those three wrong that I just told you about? If you are, it's you. It's not them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great advice. That's such great advice for so many things, not even just for networking. I mean, seriously, it's
Yeah.
really great advice.
Thank you.
And now, so as we're winding down, and for our audience, thank you again for listening, but also or viewing, depending on which platform you are accessing this show. All of Clay's and the organization's contact information will be in the comments below the video and or audio feed on whatever platform that you are watching us. And but LinkedIn is definitely a great place for you to connect. And, as we wrap up, any final thoughts or words or any questions that you had wished I had asked you that I didn't?
Mm. Honestly, I thought you did a really good job covering everything. I can't think of any, Barbara. Man, that's good.
And
Thank
that's okay.
you.
Sometimes that's the hardest question I ask is, was there any questions that you wish I had asked you? So with that said, thank you so much. And again, shout out to all of the members of H7 who I'm just absolutely certain will watch this and or listen to this. And hope to see y'all soon as my schedule changes. I have one of those fun things where you ought to suddenly grow by an, like literally quadrupled clients in a 5 week period.
That's great.
Um, and I get to in part say that it is in part due to my participation in this really amazing network. So, Clay, thank you so much for coming on
Yeah.
and joining us at this early time of day.
Yes.
I meant to say on the other side of Pennsylvania, not the other side of the country. But for those of us in New Jersey, you might as well be. Um, but thank you again for joining us for this episode, and for all of our listeners, thank you for joining us. Um, you have so many options today that you can watch and or listen to, and we really appreciate and value the fact that you take time to watch and listen to our show. And if there's information that has helped you and you think it could help others, please feel free to share that information with them and let them know about our show and what we're doing in terms of helping people learn and grow through hearing the stories of others who stepped out of their comfort zone to do what they believed and felt and were called to do as part of their passion and their purpose in life. And as part of that, remember, no matter what changes you want to make in your life, no matter how big or small, join us again for more guests that have made these amazing transformations and had such tremendous impact on so many people, such as Clay, who listened, then decided to connect and serve and ask in humility, all the while finding his purpose and most importantly, living it.